Hello, everybody, and welcome to Billy the Batboy's Corner, presented by Up On Game. I'm Billy Pinckney, and today we have Akeem Bostick joining the show, former New York Met. He pitched an inning with the Mets last season in 2021. True definition of a minor league grinder. Spent years and years, 7 years before making it to the big leagues in affiliated ball, then a couple in independent ball as well, and finally reached his goal. And that's what it's all about. We're talking about stories of people facing adversity and reaching that ultimate goal. So without further ado, let's welcome Akeem Bostick. All right, guys, we're here alongside Akeem Bostick, former New York Met. And Akeem, I want to throw back to the beginning of your career, back in high school. Drafted by the Astros out of high school, but man, you put up some great numbers, 9-0, .68 ERA, and there's a lot of young kids who wish they could put those numbers up. And I'd like to get your input on what went so correctly for you during your high school career, and was it the hard work that you put in? Was your body being mature at that point in time? What do you think it was?
I think it was more, the hard work that I put in and, my mindset coming into, all those years was just, I'm the best. I felt like at that point in time, like nobody could definitely beat me. I mean, kind of as cocky as that kind of sounds, but I feel like as an athlete, you kind of got to have that edge. You know what I'm saying? Because if you don't, then the game can swallow you up and spit you out clearly. But yeah.
Well, you then went on to play for two different organizations, both the Astros, and then traded over to the Rangers. And spent 7 years prior to getting released. And when you're with two organizations for that long, and you get that call that you're gonna be getting released, how tough was that mentally?
It's just a little draining, because over the years you kind of see it happen to, a lot of different guys here and there, whether it's in spring training or, during the middle of the season. And, you kind of think like, well, this can't happen to me. And once it kind of happens, you're just kind of like, oh, wow, like, well, now like, what did I do wrong and stuff? And so,
What can you say about the developmental aspect of your career at that point in time? Did the coaches mess with your mechanics at all? Did you change anything mechanically?
Mechanically, when I was with the Astros, yeah, I felt like, it was always something, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I agree. Like I was a raw talent, I was originally drafted by the Rangers to correct that. But when I got traded over to the Astros, it was more, them experimenting and kind of trying different things with me. And honestly, like a lot of that stuff just didn't work for me. You know what I'm saying? And, over the course of time, I just kind of felt like, it just, in a sense, it kind of threw me off of who I am. You know what I'm saying? But it's a great experience nonetheless.
Well, I remember when you got released, I reached out to you trying to get you to play indie ball here in Jersey, and then you went over to sign with Joe in Kansas City, and that must have been a great experience. You're playing for somebody who loves to win, does a great job at getting guys back into affiliated ball. So what was your first taste of indie ball like?
First taste of indie ball, I kind of honestly going like after I got released and going down to Kansas City, I didn't really know too much of what to expect. Because when you're affiliated, you get a lot of guys that talk crap about, guys in indie ball, which to me, honestly, like indie ball does have some pretty impressive talent. You know what I'm saying? A lot of those guys I think deserve a shot, but we'll see if that happens. But no, when I was down in Kansas City, man, I enjoyed Kansas City a lot. The baseball there was great. Obviously, Joe he has a reputation for being a great manager, and that he is. So, I definitely enjoyed my time down there.
It seems like when guys go down indie ball or go in other places, even winter ball and overseas, there's more of a emphasis on winning, and it's a little bit different than what you see in affiliated ball. And when I talked to you, you said, "Yeah, I just want to go to a place where I could win." And did you feel that type of atmosphere when you're going to a place like that rather than affiliated?
Yeah, because I feel like, the situation for me or how I felt about it anyways, down in Kansas City with Joe, it was, let's just play great baseball and let's win. In affiliated baseball, it's all about, okay, like, let's tweak this or let's tweak that to try to, make you a complete product. You get what I'm saying? So it's more development in affiliated baseball than it is, go out there and play the game.
Now, were you a starter when you were in affiliated the first time?
Yeah. So I came in as a starter, but I mean, I after I got traded to the Astros, I kind of did a little bit of everything. I pitched on the back end. I've piggybacked on the back end. I've started on the piggyback. I've started like just really whatever was required.
So at this point in time in 2019, before you even make it to the big leagues, does it ever go through your head that, hey, I'm a second rounder in affiliated ball for this long, I might not reach my goal of making it to the big leagues, even though it did eventually happen?
I mean, kind of, but at the same time, I mean, I noticed like, a lot of guys don't make it into the big leagues until they're like that mid 20s to late 20s range, anyways. So, the fact that I came in at 18, I mean, obviously that bought me a bit more time than it might buy somebody else. So, I kind of, in your mind, like when you get released, obviously, yes, you have a lot of doubt about getting back to the big leagues. But, I feel like the way I work in the off season and, the way I carry myself, like I feel like I can get back there and, it's just a matter of being in the right place at the right time.
Well, then you were signed by the Cardinals, right, in 2020, but then COVID obviously happened, didn't have an opportunity to pitch for them, and then the Mets eventually signed you and went up to AAA with them, and then you were added to the 40-man and then called up to the big leagues. I mean, that string of events right there, that must have been pretty special for you just to be a part of, and maybe a year before, 2 years before, not thinking that was really in the picture at that time.
Just honestly, the way how all of that played out, like it just goes to show that in this game, man, like you're still always one call away. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, it might seem like, I might have repeated double A or, some guys might have repeated triple A or even if it was high, whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like, they might feel like, oh, I'm not really going anywhere. I'm in a standstill or whatever. But I mean, realistically, you're always one call away, whether it's due to an injury or, just being in the right place at the right time. But
So you're in AAA. I mean, can you take me through when you realized that I'm going to be going up to the big leagues and have an opportunity?
all right, so the day I got called up to the big leagues, me and my wife were actually just, I was supposed to start in AAA that day. And we were actually just hanging out in our room. And, I was watching, I don't remember what I was watching on TV, but we were just laying there. And then my phone started going off and it was the manager. And, my wife looked at it and she passed me my phone. And I'm like, okay, like, why is he calling? Like, I'm about to come to the yard in like an hour, So I'm like, why is he calling? So then, I answered the phone and he asked me what I was doing. I was just like, I mean, laying down, probably about to come there in a second. Like, what's up? And he was just like, oh, well, he was like, don't chill out too much. Cause he was like, they want you up top, kid. And like at that point, like I felt like the whole world just stopped for a second because I was just like, hold up, wait, what? Like, can you repeat that? And then he was just like, hey, yeah, they want you up top. So, like, you got to get out of here. And I mean, that was, a real heartfelt moment at that point.
Was the team in New York at the time, or were they on the road?
They were in New York playing against the Atlanta Braves.
Okay. So you get there, you walk in the clubhouse for the first time. Did you have any conversations with a couple guys when you first walked in?
So I already knew Dom Smith and JD Davis, just from I played with JD in the past over with the Astros, and Dom, we kind of played against each other in the South Atlantic League. But as soon as I walked in, surprisingly, the first person that like actually greeted me as soon as I walked in was Pete Alonso.
Wow.
And he goes, hey, man, he was like, it's a pleasure to have you here. He's like, if you ever need anything here, don't hesitate to find me, Lindor, or Dom, and if you need it, we'll just get it taken care of for you. And I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, some great guys. I mean, we see it this year, too, with the success that they're having. It seems like a team with a lot of great chemistry. And, I mean, as far as pitching goes, Jacob deGrom, obviously one of the best guys in the league. Did you have any conversation with him?
I didn't really have, like, too much of a conversation with him. I kind of, like, he was coming out of the cafeteria as I was walking in. And it was like one of those moments where I was just kind of going around, just introducing myself to everybody. And, he comes out, he's just like, hey, I'm Jacob. And I'm like, I mean, I obviously know who you are. You know what I'm saying? Like, there was no introduction needed. But nonetheless, I mean, I think the Mets, they got a great group of guys, you know what I'm saying? Especially like with the veterans that are around. And, you know what I'm saying? I'd like to see them make a push this year. I mean, I think, they got an opportunity, but Only person I see standing in the way might be Atlanta. So
we'll see. We'll see. So you step up out on that mound for the first time. I mean, you got your adrenaline pumping, the blood's flowing. What's going through your head?
At that moment, the only thing I could really honestly think about was, first and foremost, do not give up a homer. And second, I was like, just don't walk anybody. Which, I mean, I ended up walking Jock, but I think I threw a pretty great 3-2 splitter to him. He just kind of spit on it. But, that just shows you, how those guys up top that have been around a while, that's how they operate. They can spit on the good pitches and, because, I mean, if I'm in AAA, AA, definitely somebody swinging at that on 3-2.
Exactly. So this year you're back in indie ball. I mean, are you sharing your story with these other guys who are looking for inspiration on getting to affiliated and making it?
I mean, I'm always open to, be able to offer a lending hand to the next person. Like this year I played with guys and, they might have particularly asked me about, how I hold a certain pitch or, what do I think when I throw a certain pitch. And, if like, I mean, we're all competing to get there, but I mean, I want to see everybody make it. And sadly, that doesn't happen like that. But I mean, if I can help anybody to any degree, I always try.
I mean, to all the other guys out there who are looking to improve their game, make it as high as they possibly can, what message you have for those players and pitchers in specific? I mean, there's obviously more spots on a roster for pitchers. I mean, maybe a couple adjustments that they made changes the game for them. So what would you say to the young guys out there?
I'd honestly say, first and foremost, develop a routine, that works specifically for you, not somebody else's routine, because everybody's different. Also, just, keep grinding, never give up. Like in your mind, there's either only room for positivity or doubt. And you're not going to make it far if you doubt yourself. So, just remain positive, even if, the odds and the cards seem stacked against you.
Good stuff, man. Akeem, I appreciate you coming on. Enjoy the off season. Best of luck.
No doubt. Thank you for having me, man.
We'd like to thank you for tuning into this episode of Billy the Batboy's Corner, presented by Up On Game. Akeem Bostick, man, great story, persistence, adversity, and just doing what he can to make it, and he did. He made it. I mean, even though the doubt surrounds minor league baseball players, especially when they're at a level like independent ball, and he made it. And as he mentioned, you're one phone call away. So no matter if you're in indie ball, single A, double A, triple A, you're only one phone call away from advancing to the next level, and that's a story that all minor leaguers really have to just truly understand. And if you'd like to learn more about what we're doing here with Billy the Batboy's Corner and Up On Game, don't forget to follow on social media at Billy the Batboy, at Up On Game Network. Subscribe, rate, review on YouTube, and don't forget, we're supporting the Father English Center in Paterson, New Jersey. Appreciate you joining us, and we'll see you guys next time here on the show.